Hey, we're here today with Samuel Reed, the writer director of Postbellum. I'm Jenni Gold. I'm a former also filmmaker from the Valley Film Festival. So, Sam, it's funny. It feels like you're familiar to me. Like we
You
might
look
have.
you look familiar to me too, Jenny. I feel like I've maybe knew you in a past life or something.
Yeah, and maybe let's see. Hold on. Let me see. Maybe if we share this screen. Oh my gosh.
Hey, there we are.
Yeah. Uh, like 12 years of being together.
Yeah,
Um, so it's funny because you're my first interview for the Valley Film Festival events where we're talking to different filmmakers. And when I got the email, it was like, Sam Reed. Oh, yeah, introduced you before since we worked together for 12 years.
yes,
So
Tracy introduced us via email together, and we've known each other for quite some time.
that was right. Plus, I did edit on Postbellum,
That's
which
right. Yeah, you've got an editing credit on it.
I never got the I always have trouble with the name. So for other people who might not know the word or why you picked the title, why don't you tell us a little bit how the title came about?
Well, postbellum means after the war, and it was just supposed to mean, I meant to represent kind of his feelings and the main character's feelings and state of mind, where he was, and kind of place him with the into the context of the title. Jenny's always had a hard time remembering the title, though. She likes to call it something different.
Yeah, every time it was something different. I think I brutalized that name for whatever reason. I couldn't get it to stick in my head. I think I called it Portobello a lot, but
Called it Portobellum was my favorite. Yeah. So whenever I
yeah.
see portobello that's all chopped up and mashed up, I think of this film.
So where did you first get the idea for this story?
This story was actually brought to me by Zach Recavina, the actor and co-producer and co-writer of the film. He is an amputee, and he has been an actor since before he was an amputee. And after he lost his arm, he found that he was being cast in very specific roles, a lot of war veterans, and usually it was just kind of background stuff. And I think that he wanted to take an opportunity to tell a little bit more realistic story about that experience. And after talking with quite a few military or people that were in the military, he kind of settled on this story about the trauma that he faced, not because of the loss of his arm, but because of the experiences that he had had. And because of my experience working on your film, CinemAbility, I knew what an important story this was. And when he approached me about it, it just kind of rang a bell, and I felt like I could do something with that. And so we worked together to kind of rewrite the story and, make it as strong as we could. And I guess that's kind of how it came together.
Did you have to do a lot of research about the experience of guys coming back and the I'm going to get this wrong too. PS.
PTSD.
Yeah, thank you.
Yeah, we did. We did a lot of different research independently as well as together. Zach reached out to a lot of veterans that he knew, who some of which are even featured in the film, and they spoke to their experience. Not necessarily always in regards to PTSD, but just in the adjustment period that you face being in such a structured environment, and sometimes even war zone maybe, and then coming back to a place of civilization like America, where there's certain responsibilities and just day to day, and how different that is, and how there's a readjustment period. And so you don't necessarily have to be traumatized in order to have that kind of startling hiccup. And we did want to kind of place someone with a little bit more, with a few more problems on their in that situation. And so that's what we did. And yes, I remember Zach shared a couple specific stories with me that he had found online And I definitely talked with some people and did my own research as well to make sure that it was just as authentic as we could make it, um, you know, using the resources that we had.
So what was production like?
Production was crazy. We did not have much money. We had a lot of enthusiasm, and Zach in particular really kind of built the team that ended up making this film, using a lot of his resources and a lot of the people and friends that he knew, other filmmakers. And what we found was everybody that we asked typically came on board and then wanted to bring a friend out. And by the end of the shoot, we shot for 4 days. In June, just a couple of years ago. And by the end of the shoot, there were like 3 or 4 people holding different cameras all at one time, sometimes aiming at other people holding cameras. There was quite a bit for an editor to have to sort through, and sound was not always ideal either. But we got through it and we crafted a pretty good little film. So, that's part of the fun sometimes, is crafting, the final bit with what you've created there and all the footage you've shot. So you got to
What was
experience that firsthand.
what was your favorite moment of production? Like something that stands out that was a good day or a happy coincidence.
My favorite moment of production is actually coincides with my favorite moment in the film. And that is on our second day of shooting, we had a really, really long day. We started in this guy's garage and we filmed this big argument scene. Then we actually left and went to a DMV that we had converted into a VA facility. And then we had to go back into that garage. And by then, everybody was really tired and the night was wearing on, and we had to get everybody fed. And this was actually the scene where we brought a lot of the military advisors and actual people that served in the military to set. They had been there a lot of the day already, but this was like their scene, and it's their group scene. And we just tried to make everybody as casual and as comfortable as possible. We had some drinks, we had some pizza, and people just started sharing stories at dinner. And at a certain point in time, I just got all of the crew out of the way and we pointed the cameras on them and just let those conversations continue to run. And it was exactly as it had been planned, in that we wanted to shoot that scene very naturalistic and give it kind of a docudrama kind of feel. And the way it came about just worked out to be exactly that, more so than I think we could have planned. And so that was really fun to not only create that moment, and I think in that moment everybody knew we had something special because we got such honesty from the people who are performing and speaking to their true experiences. And then I think just in the way it was edited together and came together, the audience feels that too. So that's kind of a nice little duality to that moment.
Yeah, I think it was one of my favorite scenes also. It was really heartfelt and realistic.
Yeah, it just
Um,
worked. Yeah.
do you have a part of the production that you cringe when you think about?
Yes. This film has gone through a number of edits and re-edits, and there are some things we tried to pack a whole lot into something that ultimately was going to be very small in a short film. And at one point in time, this film was nearly double the length that it is now. And I think that there were a lot of things that I wish we had done better on production. It always comes down to time and resources. You wish you had more money. You wish you had more time to be able to do things. We rushed through a lot. Even as I mentioned, with the addition of the extra cameras, we didn't always have time to plan what each one was going to do or course correct when one started going wrong. We just had to keep rolling with it. And so we suffered some of those issues that small budgeted independent films have. But I think that the way we overcame those issues ultimately speaks for the quality of the filmmakers and the people that worked on the film. So
Cool. So let's talk about editing. We had a number of different
Is this where I
editors.
interview you?
No, how many, you had a couple different editors before me, right? You've gone through a
You did,
couple
yeah.
hands.
Yeah.
And I remember finally going, just let me do it. And then now you've cut it shorter. Again, when you cut it the last time, what system did you cut on?
Da Vinci.
Yeah. Are
Yeah.
you feeling more comfortable with it, or are you working on something else now?
No, I like Da Vinci. I mean, I'm cheap, so I like the fact that it's free for me because I have the free model.
Yeah.
And I hate subscription software. So even though I like Premiere, I really hate that they just keep pinging you for it. So I actually would love to upgrade to the full Da Vinci suite, and I plan
Sweet.
on doing that. But yeah, it just fits my style. I was a Final Cut 7 as you know, I liked Final Cut 7.
No,
So
you're singing my song, dude. You're
anything
singing
that's the
my song.
closest to that, it makes sense to me. And so that just, yeah, I'll probably stick with Da Vinci for a while.
You need to take the classes. Have you taken the classes yet?
No, I've never taken the formal classes like you did. I did start poking around with some color and have watched some tutorials and stuff online, but I mean, there's a lot for me to learn still.
Yeah. Yeah, you're gonna try to keep those parts of production to those people, or and focus on writing and directing, producing, or are you gonna try to be a one-man band, do you think?
I'm definitely not interested in being a one-man band. I actually just made a short film this past year during COVID, and I was more a one man band than I have ever wanted to be. And in some ways it is it's kind of vindicating in some ways and challenging, and that was fun. But at the same time, I really love the collaborative aspect of filmmaking. And I found that if you can find somebody that's truly talented in what they do, why not try to incorporate them in your work? It's only going to make it that much better. So I'm a decent editor. I'm not a great editor. So finding people that can really make that element shine, or color, or whatever it is, sound, it's important.
What part of the business are you most passionate about? Do you feel that you're fulfilled mostly with? I mean, you've worn a number of hats now. Which one, floats your boat?
Great question. You know what? I will always love writing. Writing is for me the beginning of the process, and it's always so exciting to get ideas out and formulate the story and be the originator of a project. However, and I don't mean to say this to discredit writing, but specifically in film, if you're not making what you're writing, it becomes really just depressing in a lot of ways. So I've really enjoyed producing these past couple of years in actually getting to see projects be made, be finished, projects that some of them have my name on from beginning to end, like, Postbellum as a writer, and the same with this little short film, and other projects, I'm just on as a producer, or in much lesser capacity. But bringing projects to life, I think is really, really a lot of fun. And I feel like because of all of the experience that I have and got from working with Gold Pictures quite a bit, I have skill sets that allow me to be able to bring projects to life in ways that, when I was just a writer, I didn't know how to do that.
So the uh, the tie that your movie has to PTSD and mental health, how are you kind of correlating that and using it to help people that are suffering from things?
For a time, we were really pushing the film in to festivals that center around either mental health awareness, or veteran themed or oriented film festivals, or certain disability themed festivals, to try to push not necessarily that agenda, but just try to get us in front of audiences that would understand and hopefully help spread the word. Now that we're really kind of gearing down on our festival run, Zach and I are kind of reevaluating how we're going to take this film out and getting out to the people that need to see it most. So, I don't know that I have a firm answer in that, except that, we definitely want the people that are going to, that it's going to impact to see it, and hopefully help them, just understand that there are other people out there that are dealing with this. And also for the broader audience to see that, this is one of the issues that people with post-traumatic stress and mental health issues and just people that are readjusting into a society face. And we should be aware of that.
So what's next for you?
So, as you know, but our audience doesn't, I'm wrapping up production or post-production on a feature film right now. It's a film that we produced it last year, and it's been in post-production for some time, but we're getting very close to finishing that. And I think, like all filmmakers, I'm itching to make my next one. So I've been writing and polishing that script, and I've got some ideas on how I can get it funded and hopefully produced. And I'm going to be really pushing toward creating that film here in 2022.
Can you tell us what it's about, or do we have to wait till it comes
yeah,
out?
I can tell you a little bit. I like making really small independent movies, and my first film, I kind of backward engineered using the resources at my disposal and tried to figure out a really cool, engaging story. And so I've basically done the same thing. I've figured out a very few actors that I would love to work with, and I've found a great location. And
Is Beeler one of them?
of course he is. That
Oh
he
my
is.
gosh, are you serious?
And absolutely he is. So not purposefully. I never write
Oh, you guys
specifically
have a
purposely
bromance.
for him.
The people don't know, but this is an actor he has a bromance with.
Well, I just cut him out of Postbellum, so maybe not anymore.
Oh, well, yeah.
So yes, David Beeler is a very talented actor. I'll give him some props on here for anybody who wants to watch. And
Look him up.
yeah, he's a great actor, and we've worked together several times. And he weasels his way into all my future projects. That's all I know.
You're one that you're in posting. I don't think you mentioned the name. Did you?
Oh, I don't know. Into the Wilderness is the film that I'm currently post-producing and trying to get finished.
And the new one that you're writing.
It's called Harbor.
And Beeler was in Into the Wilderness also.
Yes,
and now
he
he's
plays a
going to be
very
in
prominent role.
Harbor. And where is Harbor going to be shot at?
So Harbor is centered in a lake house, and it's going to be shot at Lake Wateree in South Carolina. It's a beautiful little quiet lake, and there's a property there that's given us full reign of the place, basically. And so yeah, I've got a story about a kind of a traumatized woman who retreats to this home, trying to seek Harbor, basically. She's seeking a bit of a safe haven to kind of get over her bit of trauma, only to then encounter someone who shouldn't be there, and that would be David.
And when do we think this will be done?
Well, it's not started. I mean, I haven't started producing it yet. I'm actively creating the basically the plan to get it all in place right now.
But it's already written.
Yeah, it's written. I'm rewriting it, polishing it. So
already got the location.
Yeah.
And already has one of the main cast.
Yes, there is an actress that I have approached about it, and she's very interested. However, nothing's set in stone. It all always comes down to money. So until there's some money in place, then I don't know what I'm going to be able to do. So, but that's the dream.
So hopefully we'll see that in the Valley Film Festival at some point too. All right. Well, thank you, and we will look forward to seeing the film.
Thanks, Jenny. I appreciate you taking time to do this. It's good to see you again.